everybody. Welcome back to Chortle Cast. I'm Jake, and with me for the last time this year, Steven. What's up, Steven?
Oh, man. Oh, so much pressure.
I know.
Didn't know this was our
so
last
much pressure.
time.
This is the last Chortle Cast of 2018, Steven. And do you know what that means? That means that we have to have a blowout episode. We have to talk about all the exciting stuff we played this year, and it's going to be great. And that's what we're doing. This is our Game of the Year show. We're going to talk about all the great stuff that we did this year, game-wise, and we're going to just have a little look back at 2018. We do this every year. It's super exciting. I love this part. I love this podcast. I like talking about it. But anyway, if you didn't know, this is your first time hearing us. This was our first episode, by the way. This is like 2-year anniversary of Chortle Cast, okay?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah. This was the very first type of podcast me and Brody ever filmed. So, anyway, if this is your first time you're watching this is Chortle Cast, the official podcast of Chortle Games, where we normally talk about TV shows, video games, movies, anime, whatever the heck we want to talk about. But today, we're going to be talking about games. We're going to be talking about the best games of 2018. In particular, the games that I and Steven enjoyed most throughout the year.
Favorite games of 2018.
The what now?
Favorite games of 2018.
Favorite
so
games of 2018.
So it's objective.
Not necessarily the best, definitively, but like our favorite, you know? The way this is going to work, Steven and I have selected our top 5 favorite games of this year, and we are going to walk from bottom of the list to the top of the list. And we're just going to talk about it. We're going to talk about why we liked it, you know, who should be playing it, you know, if you hadn't checked it out, why you should check it out. I feel like most of these, at least in mine, are games that most people have probably have heard about, but we may have a couple odds and ends in there. But anyway, we've talked a lot about Game of the Year as the Game Awards were around, but this is a little bit different. This is what we really enjoyed this year. So anyway, normally you can be a part of the show by writing into chortlecast@gmail.com, and you can write in with topics, questions, that sort of thing. And normally we'll read through those. We'll have discussion on the show and all that good stuff. Before we start, Steven, I want to go over some housekeeping.
Yes.
We are switching gears a little bit here at Chortle Games, looking into next year. Our schedule is going to be changing just a little bit, especially the podcast schedule is going to be changing. We are going to be. Typically, the show airs at 12 o'clock on Friday, a.m. And we go from, you know, it drops, and we do this, and it's great. We talk about video games, all that good stuff. I'm trying to pull up a calendar. That's why I'm like struggling to speak words. Normally it airs on Friday. After next year, so or in 2019,
beginning next year.
Yeah. The first podcast episode will be on a Friday on January 4th. But the very next one will be that following Monday, because yes, podcasts are going to happen on Monday from now on in 2019. The new schedule is going to be the podcast airs 12 o'clock Central Time on Mondays. It's going to be more kind of a, you know, this podcast is typically a, hey, let's look back at this week and talk about, you know, what exciting news we found this week and what we were most excited about, yada, yada, yada. The show's still going to be that, but it's going to be at a time that makes more sense, which is Monday.
Yeah, because for the past few weeks, whenever we've like had the podcast, news has happened after we recorded it, before it aired.
Exactly.
So it's been kind of inconvenient, and just we haven't been able to talk about the important stuff as well because of the recording slot.
Exactly.
Their slot.
At the time when Brody and I first started it, it really worked, and it's gotten more and more out of sync. So that's going to be switching in 2019. But that's not you're looking at me and you're like, but Jake, we have Let's Plays on Monday. That's right. We are dropping the Monday Let's Play. That is now only going to be on Wednesday. So we will still continue to do Let's Plays. They will still be short edited content like you've come to know and expect from us. But they're only going to happen on Wednesdays now. That's to alleviate some editing time on me so I can work on some other projects we're trying to do and make happen. But yeah, so that's the first big change. The other big change is on Tuesdays we do Team Up Tuesday. That will continue as planned. We have been doing a lot of Destiny, but Anthem, Division 2 are coming out next year, so that's Destiny's probably going to be less and less involved in there.
The Xur stream will continue on Fridays.
Xur stream will continue on Fridays.
So Destiny will still be happening every week.
Right. Wednesday, Let's Play, like I said. And then Thursday, right now our schedule is Steven plays through a full game, does a Let's Play, a live stream series. Right now he's playing through Uncharted. Your goal is to get through the entire series, Steven. But after
1 through 4, yeah.
After Uncharted is done, we're going to let that time slot take a break. So this may not be a permanent change. There may be, we're gonna post an update video in early in the year, kind of, letting people know quickly what these changes are. But that's something that probably around March, you think, Steven, you'll be through all of it.
That's kind of the soft
plan
time frame I'm giving myself. It could be sooner,
right? If
but
we work really hard.
If we work really hard, because by the time this airs, I might have beaten Uncharted 2,
right?
Because I'm going to be streaming that on Thursday night,
right?
So it really depends on the pace that I continue at, and the main reason I'm doing this is because I'm about to move to a new apartment. Work's picking up a lot. I'm getting married in March.
Yep.
And I think that it's just important that I ease back a little bit, so that it doesn't feel like every single night I'm streaming when I'm, a newlywed.
Yep.
Because you're supposed to spend time with your wife. That's what I'm told.
That's what I've been trying to tell him. So and to piggyback off of that, that is the reason why we're kind of backing down a little bit on a couple things is, when we first started this channel, it was me and Brody. We were doing 2 days of content. It was basically just 2 Let's Plays. When we brought Steven in, he kind of got us going on live streams, and we had live streams on Tuesday, Thursday.
We hit it so hard, man.
And then four on the weekend. Yeah, Steven hit it so hard. Because at the time, Steven, he wasn't as fully involved in his job as he is now.
Yeah.
He wasn't even engaged at that point.
Yeah.
So Steven had a lot of free time, and he was really pushing hard on the channel. And of course, that encouraged me to get involved and help in the live streams and all this and that. But the main reason why we're making this change is because our lives have gotten busier. My life was already busy to begin with, and I really pushed to make a lot of things happen for the channel. But I've had to have some real conversations about, where can I back down? Where can I pull and adjust? And Steven has had to have a lot of the same conversations. So we're dialing down very small. I mean, we're dropping 1 live stream, and we're losing one night of Let's Plays. But ultimately, you're still going to have 5 days of content across the whole week, because we're still going to do our live streams on Friday, or live stream on Friday. Well, I guess it is live streams on Friday, because we'll have Xur and our normal Friday night stream, and then we'll also continue to have our Saturday night stream. But anyway, we're not going anywhere. Nothing major is happening. We're just trying to set up a schedule that is going to work as we continue forward into the ever-changing landscape of Steven getting married, Brody getting married. Jake is probably going to have a house by the end of 2019. A lot of moving parts, and especially since the channel is not, this is our hobby and something we really love to do, and we love getting to meet all you guys. And Steve and I were just talking about one of our subs, that Evan, who's been on a lot of our live streams. It's like we never would have met Evan. There's so many subs and people that we wouldn't have met without doing this, and we love it. But as this is not like our primary source of revenue, it's not even a source of revenue at this point. We kind of have to readjust things and make it where we can continue to do this, and we can continue to do this a lot, but also it be manageable for the rest of our lives that we have to attend to and adhere to. So anyway, I hope that doesn't disappoint any of you. I hope you all understand kind of where we're coming from with that. We definitely want to keep doing this, and that's why we're trying to back it down and make it more manageable, so we can continue to do this and interact with you guys and continue to do live streams and all this stuff. So anyway, but it's going to be an exciting new year. We've got some fun things we're going to be trying to do. We're going to try to do some try not to laugh videos, and we've got some other things, kind of ideas cooking. I think last podcast I may have talked about that, but just if you have some ideas of like, hey, this is the kind of content I'd love to see you guys do, feel free to write that into us at Chortle Cast and at gmail.com, or in our Discord or Facebook or Twitter, any of those. We'd love your input as we move forward with that. So anyway, also update, housekeeping. Holidays are upon us. If you're listening to this podcast live at 12 o'clock Central Time on Friday, December 21st, you have like no time to get a Christmas present, okay? If you haven't gotten your mom a Christmas present or your brother a Christmas present like me, you better freaking go to the store right now. Like, get your car, plug your headphones in, go to the store, buy something. I gotta get my brother an Academy Sports gift card, all right? And I gotta do that probably tomorrow, okay? But I don't have much time. So if you're listening, you got limited time right now, okay? The last piece of content you're gonna see from us this year is gonna be on December 24th. That's Christmas Eve. Literally 2-3 days away. It's our Christmas special. It's me and Steven and a special guest playing Smash Brothers. It's very funny. You're going to enjoy it. You're going to want to see it. But then we will not have any content. That means no streams, nothing, from December 25th until January 2nd. On January 2nd, we will have the first Let's Play of the year. And then, of course, we'll have that podcast. Well, and I think, Steven, are you going to do the solo stream that Thursday when we get back from holidays?
Which day is that?
That's January 3rd.
Believe so.
Yeah. So Steven will jump back into that, and then we'll have the live stream in the afternoon on the 4th, and then we'll have a podcast. It'll be a podcast talking about the games we're most excited about for 2019. So anyway, so we will resume normal schedule upon January 2nd. But yeah, we're going to be off from the 25th till the 2nd. So Steve and I are going to be partying it up at a New Year's Eve party. We're probably going to play some Sentinels of the Multiverse. Going to have some drinks. We're going to drink responsibly, but we're going to have a good time playing Sentinels of the Multiverse. I want to try a new character, Steven. I need you to get me a character together.
Have you played the Oblivion expansion yet?
I don't think so. I haven't. I don't know that
I got your new characters, Jake.
Okay, I can't wait. I need you to pick me like 2 or 3 that you're like, Jake,
Okay.
Here's who you're gonna try tonight, and go from there. But anyway,
I will
all right,
have your
that's enough
roster set up.
housekeeping. That's enough, update junk. Let's jump into it, Steven. 2018 overall, pretty good year for games,
Pretty
right?
good. Pretty good. Yeah, pretty good.
Last year, I felt like I think it was Breath of the Wild was what I picked as like my game of the year. And I feel like that was a big enough game for me that it just held the whole year up. You know what I mean? Like the whole year was just kind of like held up by that game.
Right.
But like I couldn't tell you, I think Destiny 2 was one of the other ones I mentioned. There were a couple. I mean, there obviously we did about 5, but like none of them were just like pinnacle of the year games like that. And I remember my getting hyped for 2018. I was not excited for God of War. I was not excited for Spider-Man. I was not excited for Detroit. All of these great games that came out. And as we go down the list, like there's so many good games that like I don't know that they by themselves could have held up this year. But like we had so many just really, really good games.
I just looked at my best and most anticipated for last year. It was weird. Like South Park was on there.
of
Which, to be
best
fair,
from 17.
It was on best of 17. It wasn't my number one, but it was on there.
Right.
To be fair, great game.
Right.
But still, that shows you what kind of year 2017 was.
Exactly. Like, it was a good year for games, but like it was because of one or two games. Whereas this year, everything that's on my list.
There's a lot to choose from this year.
There's not a lot of just like kind of out there games like that. But anyway, let's knock it off. I want to knock it off with some honorable mentions.
Okay.
I don't know what you've got in store for this, Steven, but I'll kick it off. My honorable mention is Destiny 2 Forsaken, because I don't feel like it's fair to give that a numbered spot because it released last year. But Forsaken brought a ton of new content. We're playing that game maybe more than we did originally, because I don't know that I played with you and Brody through Osiris and Warmind.
No, we've definitely played it more now than we did back then. Yeah,
and I mean, last year I think Destiny was on one of my top lists because I fell in love with it, and still now I am so in love with it, and I'm having a great time. And the content they're adding now is good. I'm really enjoying Black Armory, even though I'm like just now getting to where I can play it. I'm excited being in a game that they're going to continue to update and continue to add to, and I'm enjoying it a lot. Steven, I've gotten a bunch of exotics since last week. Like I was doing some strikes, and I got Queenbreaker, I think is what it's called. I got Two-Tail Fox or whatever.
Okay, yeah.
I got some other power weapon exotic from year 2. Anyway, I don't know. I feel like I'm really just now getting into it, and I think it's because I'm really high power level now. I'm 614 now. So I'm like on the up and up of the edge, where I feel like before now I've always kind of been just a little bit too far behind. Anyway, Destiny is my honorable mention. I didn't have any other ones, but Steven, what are your honorable mentions for this year?
So I'll do 2.
Yeah, that's fine.
And both of them kind of break the rules.
There are no rules here, Steven. There are no rules.
Okay. First honorable mention would be The Division.
Right.
Kind of in the same vein of you saying it's unfair to put a game on here that did not come out this year, but it was revived this year. Right. Because I believe it was in February that they really turned it around with the Resistance mode, and I've gotten back into it this month, and I've spent more time playing that with friends. Right. And had more enjoyment out of the in-game content of Division more than most other games this year. And then for my other honorable mention, again, going to kind of break the rules here, the Nintendo Switch. Oh, yeah. Because there's just a bunch of games.
You're just late to the game. This would have been in your top of 2017 if you had gotten with the program.
For sure. For sure. But games like Knights of Pen and Paper, which Knights of Pen and Paper 2 came out this week.
I was just about to say it came out, but it's not on Switch yet, is it?
Yes, it is. It's been out since Tuesday.
Oh, man. Steven. Well, see, I was listening to another podcast where they list everything that gets released on a given day, and they said Knights of Pen and Paper 2, and I was like, huh? But they only mentioned it for Xbox, and I was like, that can't be right.
It's on Switch. I've been playing it a lot.
Getting it tonight, Steven.
Fantastic. It's way more infuriating than the first one, but it does feel more like D&D.
We need to do a Let's Play on it. I'm putting a pin in that. Maybe this weekend if we have time. But anyway, go ahead.
Okay. So games like that were just really unexpected hits that the Switch just really shines on. Yep. Wasteland 2, been playing that a lot. That's been a lot of fun on Switch. Valkyria Chronicles 4. Yep. Probably, it almost made my top 5, but I haven't really gotten that far into it yet, so it's an honorable mention. But I've really enjoyed having the Switch. Got it in, what was it, October? No, it was beginning of November. Yeah. But it's been a pleasure ever since. I've been playing it constantly, so.
I've been saying it all along. it is a must-have system. It is great.
Yep.
Like you said, it is perfect for just unexpected great finds. Like mine that I always talk about is Golf Story. Just an awesome game you'd only find there. Well, it's not you'd find it on PC, I'm sure, but it's just so much more convenient and out there. And they really are trying to sell it as an indie machine in a lot of ways. But anyway, if you don't have a Switch, what I'm saying is if you don't have a Switch, man, freaking get a Switch. If you haven't gotten a Switch and you're kind of like, I still don't know if I want to do this or not, if you want to wait a little bit longer, I would not be surprised if in 2019 we get announced that the Switch XL or something like that
it's been rumored
is
heavily.
Coming. That's the only thing I would maybe say wait. But if you think, that's bull malarkey, Jake, I don't care about any of this XL crap you're selling me, I just want to play the Switch, then by all means get a Switch. You will not begrudge yourself for getting one. But anyway.
Yep.
All right, well, let's start off with our top 5 here. We're going to start at the bottom. We're going to get to the top. You know what I'm saying? We're going to start at the bottom, and now we're here. Okay. Do you want to go first on number 5, Steven, or shall I?
I'll let you go first so I can adjust if I need to.
All right, I will go first. My number 5 favorite game of 2018 was Overcooked 2.
Yeah, I saw that on the list. Yep.
I love Overcooked, and Overcooked was great. It's a great Let's Play game. It's so fun to play with friends. And Overcooked 2, especially being on the Switch, is just perfect. It's so much fun. It's in some ways it's easier than the original one. But it's because they added a lot of features like throwing, and
it's a lot more accessible.
It's so much more accessible. Plus, the updated graphics look great. It's a lot of fun. And like I said, on the Switch, I took it on so many trips, and coworkers, we'd get at night in the hotel, we'd be like, hey, anybody want to play some Overcooked? Let's do it. I mean, I got way further in my Switch one. I bought this game twice. I got way further in my Switch version than I did in my PlayStation version that you and I played so long, Steven.
Right.
But it's just on the Switch, it's great because it is such a pick up and go kind of game. So, and they've done great on content. They've already got some DLC coming out. They did some free winter themed DLC for the holiday season. So they're doing it right over there. You know what I mean? And I like their game, and it's very good. So if you haven't played it or haven't tried it, it's worth your try. All right, Steven, what was your number 5 game of 2018?
My number 5 is Far Cry 5.
I like how you did that there. That the 5 and the 5. That was clever.
Yeah, forward thinking, Jake.
Did you have to adjust for that just now, or did you?
No, I didn't.
Okay, great. I just want to make sure that wasn't an adjustment.
So originally, the game, like the gameplay, great. The world, really great. The story kind of sucks.
Right.
Because they're getting further and further away from how Far Cry should be done story-wise, in my opinion.
Right.
But I put it on there because I did really have a really fun time playing the campaign, and honestly, the arcade mode has been such a fun thing that we've done this year.
Yeah, and especially from a channel standpoint, like that's a series. I think we had almost 20 episodes. We're still not done with it. We still want to come back and do one last blowout. But yeah, we did so many live streams of that. It's crazy what kind of content can be done with that. And this is a little early, but Dreams, I'm really curious to see if that could be the next Far Cry arcade for us.
Right.
If that would be a fun thing to do. But anyway, I'm sorry, Far Cry. Continue talking about it.
That's basically it. I just really enjoyed having a game like that where we could play people's content, and they would show up and be like, hey, play my map, something they worked hard on, and they just wanted people to go and appreciate. And I really enjoyed being able to do that. There were just so many funny moments, so many just good maps.
Right.
And it just... it definitely was like, if the channel was defined by a game this year, it probably would have been Far Cry 5. Like, if there was a game where it was like something we did, it was Far Cry.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good one. That's a good one to mention on here.
Yeah.
All right. Going to number 4 for favorite game of 2018 for Jake's top 4 list. Detroit Become Human.
You stole one of mine.
I knew I did. There's going to be a lot of crossover between us for this year, I think. Which is weird because you and I have different tastes, which will become evident for next year's stuff. But Detroit Become Human. I don't like that style of game. I really don't. Like, that is not a box that I check. But ever since it was first shown, I was interested in that game. Seeing people play it and see some demos and demonstrations of it, I thought, you know what, I could maybe get into this. I could maybe enjoy this for a little bit. And then I played it and loved it. I was so invested to the point that I really had to stop myself from looking ahead to make sure I was getting the outcome that I wanted. Mm-hmm. I tried to play it as true as I could, but I cared so much about Kara and Alice and making sure that they made it through. I cared so much about Connor and what he was doing. I distinctly remember a point in the game where I knew a lot of shit was about to go down, and I kind of told myself, I was just like, I don't care what happens, but Kara and Alice have to make it through this. I was like, if I have to kill Connor to save Alice and Kara, I'm going to do it. Like, that was, I came to that point. I was just like, these are the two that if I can only save 2 people, these are the ones that are going to make it. But anyway, like that's what's so good about that game is like it makes you think about that and like play about that.
I have said since I played it, because we have a full live stream playthrough for anybody that wants to go watch it. It was me playing it. I've said since I played it that it was one of the most, if not the most, unique gaming experience I've ever had.
Absolutely.
Because it really transcended being a video game. Because it lacks the gameplay. It's a choose your own adventure with occasional button prompts and all that kind of stuff. But man, the story was phenomenal. Like the execution of how they do the narrative was groundbreaking in my opinion. Because if you watch those videos, there are so many different paths that the story can take, and they all feel right.
Right, exactly.
Because there was a point where like I was intentionally trying to make decisions opposite what you made because I was trying to throw you for a loop.
Right.
Because you were in the chat and you were like, oh, I can't believe you did that. Oh, I can't believe it. So I kept trying to like give you a new experience for watching me.
Gosh, I'll never forget. You shot these 2 completely innocent robots, and I was just like, Steven, what did you do? And you were like, they were about to kill me. They were about to kill me.
They weren't innocent.
They were ready to kill me. And I was like, no, Steven, you have no idea. Because my
they
path
were not
went
innocent whatsoever.
My path
they were trying to kill
different.
me.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I had very few complaints about that game. Like, certain decisions are more black and white than they should have been.
Right. But that's kind of how it ends up in those kind of games, especially as the narrative breaks down at the end. Like, it really does become harder.
There has to be stuff where it's A or B. But oh man, that game, from the soundtrack to the performances to the characters, just all of it was phenomenal. And if anyone watching hasn't played it or watched it, or I strongly recommend you do. If you like any kind of story-driven stuff, it's an experience. Best story experience I've had this year.
Play the game how you like, but this would be my suggestion. I'd suggest you play it through all the way and just go with your gut. Just play it as you want to play it. And then go back and maybe do another playthrough and then really just kind of push the limits and like make different choices and see, what you can do differently. And then for anything else that you're just curious about, like do a YouTube search and see what happens, because there is some crazy crap that happens. There are so many crazy alternative paths. There are paths that you can only get to by doing one way, like going a very specific route. It's such a good game, and narratively is just mind-blowing. But anyway, that's my number 4. Steven, I don't know if that was your number 4 or if that was your number 3.
That was my number 2.
Your number 2?
That was my number 2.
Wow. Okay. Well, why don't you go ahead and jump to your number? What would be your number 3? Or what is your number 4? Yeah. Just, what is your number 4?
You go at. Okay. Number 4, Phantom Doctrine.
Oh yeah, Phantom. I don't know why I wouldn't have pegged you for that one.
So, a lot of you are probably going to hear that and be like, "Oh, then why'd you stop streaming it?" Well, it's because that game is really hard to stream, guys.
Yeah.
It's really tough because it's very slow. And I was trying to get you guys to be more interactive, but most of you weren't as into it as you were into XCOM 2, which is completely okay. But I just was ready to move on to something else because a game like that, I want to take it at my own pace.
Right.
And it was just such a surprise game for me because I didn't hear about it until the first week in August, and it was coming out the second week in August.
Yeah.
And I texted you, Jake. I was like, "Why has no one told me about this?
Yeah.
This is the next XCOM."
Yeah, that is such a game that is never going to be on my radar, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
But I am glad you picked that because that is something. Yeah. I mean, you enjoy those style of games so much, and the theme of all that, it was very good.
Yeah, it's for those that don't know what it is. It's a top-down, turn-based tactical with a strategic overlay between missions that takes place in Cold War era, and you are a organization of secret agents. Yep. So it's like Mission Impossible and Cold War kind of, and it's really cool. It's just like XCOM, very similar, but more grounded in realism in a past setting. Has a lot of deep systems that I didn't even get to.
Yeah.
But
like there's a mystery solving thing where you're looking at all the papers and clues on a board, and you have to like string things together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to find clues to track down enemy agents. You can capture enemy agents, then interrogate them, and then if you upgrade your facility enough, you can brainwash them, give them a sleeper key, and then send them back to their people so that you can keep track of that agent. And if that agent is on a mission you're going to do, then you can say their activation word and make them fight for you. So you can totally turn the tables, and it's so many steps to do this one specific thing, but that's the kind of game it is, and that's what's so cool, is that it is one of those things where it's like, kind of like with XCOM, you're playing the long game all the time.
Absolutely.
And I love games like that, so that was a huge surprise hit for me.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, I'll move on to number 3 for me. Number 3 favorite game of 2018. 2017, Jake is eating his words right now. Spider-Man for PS4.
That's my number 1.
That's your number 1?
That's my number 1.
Spoilers. Well, yep. I put it at number 3 because it is a game I loved, but there were 2 others that I loved a little bit more. But 2017, when we talked about most anticipated for 2018, Spider-Man was like not even. I don't even think it was on my list. It was not on my radar. At that time I had not seen anything that made me say yes. This is what I can't wait to play this. I was nervous about the swinging. I was nervous about a lot of things. They took a franchise that has had plenty of iterations, and they have created the new standard.
Yep.
And that's not an easy feat. They took a series that had so many opinions. I mean, even me, saying like, oh, well, if I haven't seen them nail the swinging yet, like that's such a trivial little thing, little detail, but in that game it mattered. And they nailed it. And then beyond that, they nailed the story, they nailed the character, they nailed the world, they nailed the environments. I mean, every piece of that game is fantastic. The music,
it feels like a Marvel movie.
It feels like a Marvel movie. and you know, not you know, not that Marvel makes bad movies, but like, you know, it's not Thor: Dark World, you know, it's like Avengers 2.
Yeah.
You know, like it's up there. It's good. So anyway, it is a great game. It's not my number one because there were other things, but I really enjoyed it, and they did something that was very ambitious and nigh impossible.
Yeah.
And then not on top of that, they just keep giving because people have been bitching about the Sam Raimi Spider-Man suit not being in it, and they came out today and were like, "Hey, Merry Christmas, you filthy animals," and gave people the suit.
Good, yeah. So, yeah, it's my number one, and I'm gonna go ahead and talk about why now, so we don't have to revisit it.
Go ahead.
If you need to know why this game is my number one, and I'm going to talk about it more, obviously, but if you need to know why, like if you need to see it, go watch my first stream playing this game.
Yep.
Because I didn't watch any gameplay before playing it, didn't play anything for it before getting it. I brought it home from GameStop, put it in my PlayStation, updated, and I went live, and I was a kid again.
Yeah.
And you can hear, like, in my voice, every single web swing. I'm freaking out. I'm seeing my first Spider-Man movie again. That's how it felt.
Exactly.
Like, I have not smiled that much playing a video game in a very long time. And just, I've always been a fan of Spider-Man. I love the character of Peter Parker. And it's difficult to do because, like, every single time a new iteration of Spider-Man comes out. You know, with Tobey Maguire, it was like, oh, he did these scenes pretty good as Peter, but he wasn't a great Spider-Man here. And then Andrew Garfield comes out and it's like, well, he's too cool to be Peter Parker, but he makes a pretty good Spider-Man.
Right.
And just there's always nitpicks because there's always gaps in how the creators understand the source material.
Yep.
And oh my God, Insomniac understands Peter Parker and Spider-Man better than anyone else who has adapted him in any form, because from a writing standpoint, they understand what makes him the character that he is. That guy who's always getting back up, fighting the good fight, sacrificing for himself, sacrificing his own comfort, security, safety for a city that doesn't even want him, and they show that so well. Yuri Lowenthal does a great job. He is now my definitive Spider-Man, honestly.
Yeah.
He did that good. And the combat was great. It felt great to play. The swinging was great. I spent 3 hours. There's evidence of this. This was my first live stream. 3 hours web swinging around the world.
Yep.
Just getting backpacks because the traversal was that good. And I would have considered, before beating the game, I would have considered it probably a 9 out of 10. But once I saw the ending, and the story was great all the way through, but once you, like, I'm not going to spoil it here, but with the ending to this game, and that's before the DLC,
right?
It cemented itself as a 10 out of 10 game for me because it understood Spider-Man so well in just one scene, like so much emotion, so much feels.
Yeah.
It was the perfect Spider-Man story.
Yeah.
So, love it. 10 out of 10. That's my number one.
Absolutely, and that's.
And it didn't win a single thing at the Game Awards because Game Awards 2018 are a sham.
It is sad that they did not get it. Very much like Horizon last year, which Horizon I think did get at least one or two things, but Horizon was another great game last year that just didn't get enough praise. And even from me, like I did not get to play enough of that game to fall in love with it. I still haven't beaten that game, but it's worth your time. But yeah, you put that so eloquently, Steven. There have been so many iterations, and they nailed it. You know, not every iteration nails it, but they did. So anyway, all right. So I guess I'll move to my number 2. Which I guess now this is your number. It's going to be your number 3 at some point. I don't know. Oh, no. You talk about your number 3 because that was not your number 3. That was your number 1 that I just happened to talk about. So
you,
what is your number 3?
You mentioned your number 3 because I already know what your top 2 or your number 2 because I already know what your top 2 are, and I'm not going to have much to say about your number 1. So you do your number 2, I'll do my number 3, then you do your number 1.
Okay, all right.
Break it up a little bit.
Sounds
more.
fair enough. Fair enough. All right.
Yeah.
My number 2 favorite game of 2018 was God of War. Again,
Yep.
2017 Jake is eating his words right now because I didn't care anything about that. If I had no interest in Spider-Man, which I already like I like Spider-Man, I didn't like God of War, and so seeing this game, I was just like, I don't care about it. I don't want anything to do with this. It's whatever. And then I saw some gameplay footage of that axe being thrown, and I said, damn, I got to play this game. I got to try this. And it completely blew me away. Completely blew my socks off. Was incredibly fun. Combat was incredibly fun. Story was incredibly relatable. When I have a kid, it's so going to be even more relatable. But I was so invested in that story. I was so invested in that world. It completely rocked my socks off. And a game that in 2018 had no microtransactions, no DLCs. It was a completely whole
single
story,
player.
Single player from the get-go. Here's the whole package done. Amazing, just fabulous. And I'm so glad it won Game of the Year. At least at the Game Awards.
I've mentioned this several times, but I feel like it warrants saying here for anyone that might be new watching. But what's so impressive about it, one of the many things, is that it took an IP that people stopped taking seriously.
Absolutely.
And for a long time really didn't take seriously. Because you could ask anybody, before this game, Kratos was just the bumbling idiot that killed gods and punched things.
Yep.
And they took that guy and made him like one of the most emotionally driven, well-written characters of this generation.
I mean,
like they took a game that people didn't take seriously, and now it's on the level of Last of Us.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
That's really impressive.
Yeah. It is a great game, and if you haven't had a chance to play that one this year, that's got to be on the top of your list there for sure. Yeah. All right, Steven, so I guess this is your number 3? I'm getting confused now.
My number 3. Yeah, it's my number 3.
Okay,
but really, these are kind of fluid. I just know that that Spider-Man was my number 1.
Right. That's usually how. Really, my top 3 are kind of fluid. But anyway, go ahead.
So my number 2/3, Wizard of Legend.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What a game,
forgot about
man.
that one.
What a game. That was one I found. Did I introduce it to you, or did you just happen to know about it? We both
I
talked
showed
about it?
you. I didn't show you, but I mentioned it to you, and you said that you saw something about it.
That's what it is.
So we kind of both knew about it, but kind of coincidentally talked about it.
Right. Well, very similar to Phantom Doctrine. It's a game that you and I both found out about in the span of a week, and then it was here.
Yep. Yep.
But go ahead.
I actually bought it spur of the moment because I didn't hear about it till the day it came out, and I bought it on a whim.
Right.
And it was one of those magical best decisions I ever made.
Yep.
Impulse buys, because it is a roguelike dungeon crawler where you are a wizard that is going through various trials to become a wizard of legend.
Yep.
So you can bring an assortment of spells, relics, and it's just got such a good gameplay loop where each time you go in, you're basically trying for a different build based on what the game will give you.
Mm-hmm.
Endlessly replayable because it's got procedural dungeons. So fun yet so simple. It's just one of those games where it's like if Avatar: The Last Airbender had a dungeon crawler. That's basically this game.
Yep.
And it's amazing. It's so fun.
It's a lot of fun, and it's great co-op.
Yep.
It's a blast. And then you eventually got it. Did you get it on Switch?
I haven't yet.
Okay.
It's on my list.
Yeah. It's and again, it's a great one on Switch because you can drop and play it anywhere with anybody. I took it when I went to Israel That was what I played at night in Israel. I just went through all those. I never went as far as Steven. Can I just as an interjection here, Steven, I've got to say that this has to have been the year of dungeon crawlers for you, and or not, maybe not dungeon crawler, but what's the word?
Roguelikes.
Roguelite. This has to be the year of roguelikes for you, correct? Because to my knowledge, you did not really, not necessarily not know the genre, but didn't know you liked the genre until this year. Would that be an incorrect statement?
It carried over from previous years, but the better ones came out, or I played the better ones for the first time this year.
Right.
So it was something that I knew that I liked, but I didn't really look into how many there were until this year.
It really blossomed this year. Anyway,
yeah.
I don't know. That's just anytime I hear a roguelike, I'm like, ooh, I need to let Steven know about this game. But anyway, okay. All right, so now we're on my number one game of the year for 2018. Steven's already huffing and puffing about it. Yeah. I can hear him. Is Red Dead...
Knack 2!
Knack 2, baby! I think we do that every year. My number one game of the year for 2018 is Red Dead Redemption 2. Now, really, I said this already, but pretty fluid between God of War, Spider-Man, and Red Dead Redemption. Probably more so between God of War and Red Dead Redemption. God of War blew my mind. Completely blew my socks off. I think 2017 Jake picked Red Dead as his most anticipated because I knew from watching those trailers that this was going to be an amazing game. And when I played it, I was not disappointed at all. It was absolutely amazing. The systems in it, while some would look at it and say, God, this is annoying, I have to eat or I have to cook, I loved those details. And the world was very immersive. It gave you plenty to do. I can't tell you how many times I just rode a direction and ran into something to do on the way to do something else. And I just had a great time with it. I had a blast with it. It is the first game to cause me to move my PlayStation out of the recording room that we use for Chortle Games into my living room so that I could play it more often. Because typically I either go in there, but then it's kind of like I'm not spending time with Lee Allison, or I can't, I don't want to eat in here and do this. So Red Dead was the first one this year. God of War, I don't think did this, but it almost made me want to. It was the first game that made me say, okay, screw it. I've got to move this to the living room so that I can finish this game. There's so many games that I should have done that for earlier, but this was the first one that made me say, no, I've got to do this. I can't not have this in here. It's a great game. It's an amazing game. The online portion of it is not fun from what me and Steven have played so far, but the story is good. It doesn't have the same. I don't think its narrative is on the same level of God of War or Spider-Man, but it is good. And overall, I had a really, really good time in the game, and so I put it as my game of the year. So there you go.
Cool.
Steven hates me a little bit.
I don't hate you.
You just disagree.
You're just predictable. And I disagree. Yeah, I'm not going to say anything about that, though. If you want to know why I disagree, at me in the comments.
There you go.
We'll talk about it.
Well, maybe it is a bit predictable, but I mean, that is what I said last year as well. And I hold to it. It was a great game. So, all right, Steven, what number is this for you, or is that it?
That was it. You knocked out two of mine. So mine were in order, ascending order. Far Cry 5, Phantom Doctrine, Wizard of Legend, Detroit Become Human, and Spider-Man.
And mine in ascending order as well were Overcooked 2, Detroit Become Human, Spider-Man, God of War, and Red Dead Redemption 2. There you go. A great year for video games. Hey everybody, thanks for listening to this episode of Chortle Cast. We do hope you've enjoyed it, and we appreciate you listening. Thank you for listening for another year to us yabber on about games and things that we're excited about and things that we love. I do, seriously from the bottom of my heart, I do hope you've enjoyed it, and I can't thank you enough for watching or listening to the podcast, commenting, sending in questions. It really means a lot to me, and I know it means a lot to Steven. So we can't thank you enough. If you are listening, there are a couple things you can do to help us out. Number one, if you're watching on YouTube, you can comment on this video, like it, share it with your friends. Let us know what you think about these game titles. What games were your favorite games this year? Let us know in the comments. You can also email us at chortlecast@gmail.com, especially for next year. You know, what are some questions and topics you'd like to hear us talk about? You can also do that through our Discord. We have a special channel set up for podcast questions, so you can find that invite to that Discord in the description of this video or in the banner of our home channel for the YouTube channel. And then last but not least, you can follow us on Twitter and Facebook, both at Chortle Games. So, Steven, it's been a good year. Thank you for being on. Thank you for being a part of the podcast all these years. I've only had to do a few Jake Solo specials, but this podcast is much better with you. So I appreciate you being here.
I enjoy it. It's a good time.
It is a good time. We do have a good time here. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. Like I said at the top of the show, expect some changes for next year. We will be. This is not the last thing you'll see of us this year, but this is the last podcast of 2018. You will see us tonight. We will be doing a live stream. Steven's going to be playing that. Speaking of Spider-Man being his game of the year, he's going to be playing the newest DLC, and as far as we know, the last DLC.
It definitely is the finale of the City That Never Sleeps.
Right. He's going to be streaming that tonight, probably around 7 or 8 o'clock Central Time. Then Saturday, Steven and I will be together. We will be live streaming Overcooked 2. We'll be playing through some of the holiday levels that they've just added. The girls, Lee, Allison, and Anna, may participate in that, but we don't know yet. And then Monday, December 24th, Christmas Eve, everybody, we will have the Chortle Games Christmas special. You won't want to miss it. It's going to be a good time. It's going to be funny. Be sure and tune into that. And then you won't see us again until January 2nd, which will be our Let's Play of, Jackbox. Jackbox Party Pack 5. We will be doing a Let's Play of that. And then schedule will resume as usual. So I'll let you know about that in the next podcast there. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. Hope you have a wonderful Christmas. Hope you have a fabulous New Year. Hope you celebrate with your friends and family. Stay safe out there. We'll see you in 2019. Bye.